Hey guys, this is CSDX, but you can call me Sean, and I cannot believe it. AEW Fight Forever is finally out! After... time. Praise the Lord if you believe in him! And if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. Also, very important noting, I got a review copy from THQ Nordic. Thank you again so much, THQ Nordic. I practically want to partner with you at this point. You've given me at least 3 keys in my YouTube career that isn't exactly a career yet. Now, this ain't sponsored, this ain't an ad, and I gotta make sure that any bias I have for AEW in a positive way does not influence a lot in this game, in this review, in this whatever you want to call it. So, for the longest time, WWE has kinda held a monopoly on wrestling games. Sure, there were others like Wrestling Empire and Fire Pro Wrestling World, but none of them were able to stand toe-to-toe with the WWE ones. Not even TNA Impact could stand out enough to actually fully release a DLC. Soon enough, it was reported that Yuke's, the original developers of the WWE games, had split itself up, with one side working on WWE games and the other working on a quote-unquote rival wrestling game. And then Yuke's was like, this rival game is much more fun to work on, and cut ties with 2K entirely. As it turned out, that rival wrestling game was for AEW in All Elite Wrestling Fight Forever. And after a few hiccups along the road, the game is finally out! And I'm gonna play it, and I hope it'll be good. Please be good. 'Cause I'm begging on my knees! It is, actually. The gameplay is largely a rather arcadey style of action, but not so much like WWE All-Stars, which I covered a few years back, but more akin to WWF No Mercy, which makes sense, because the director of No Mercy actually helped work on this game. And it definitely shows, as the game plays a ton like a modernized version of No Mercy. I should especially note that the control scheme will take some getting used to. So going by the PlayStation controller, because I'm playing the PS5 version, square is for punching, triangle is for kicking, X is for grabbing, and circle is the run button, and running will likely take a lot of getting used to, as it did for me. See, whether you're using a regular running move or a signature slash finisher, you gotta make sure there's enough room for you to move. It isn't as, for lack of a better term, simple as the free running that's been in the WWE games since SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. Oh my god, that was 16 years ago. I just graduated high school at that time! And it was a special moment for me because I didn't throw my hat up in the air. I was a rebel without a clue. The L1 and R1 buttons counter grapples and strikes respectively, and akin to No Mercy as well, L1 pins the opponent and R1 helps pick the opponent up. And truth be told, well, L1 and R1 as reversing or blocking grapples and strikes, I was not a fan of that. I didn't like it in the SmackDown games, and I preferred the one button reversal mechanic. But it's actually pretty doable here and not that hard to figure out. Although I'm still getting used to the control scheme as I keep forgetting how to turn over an opponent on the ground, and it doesn't explicitly say how in the moves list in the pause menu. Thankfully, there are tutorial archives you can find in the settings menu that should explain everything, just as it does when first prompted in whatever part of the game you're doing. In an interesting bit as well, the right stick taunts and allows you to use finishers while signatures are done with the D-pad. And a neat touch here is that for rebound signatures, I can grapple the opponent, press the appropriate direction forward if needed, and it'll set up said move without having to Irish whip them. That's a really neat attention to detail. Also, I got a 7-star match in the Casino Battle Royale match in a team version. I didn't even know there was a team version. And Kenny by God Omega soloed the whole thing. Though it didn't seem to unlock the trophy in relation to it, and I am assuming is because it wasn't a singles match. At least that's my guess, unless it's a bit bugged. On the plus side, I made Eddie Kingston world champion because Tony Khan's too scared to pull that trigger, and it's immortalized in a trophy clip too. Speaking of, if you don't love Eddie Kingston, what's wrong with you? Do you need a hug? The minigames are pretty neat even if you only start out with 3, but you can unlock them in Road to Elite, a career mode that apparently is supposed to take place during the first year of AEW in 2019. Even though they seem to reference their time in Jacksonville, Florida during the pandemic by your wrestler saying it has history there. There's going to be some inconsistencies here, just go with it. Also, I won the AEW World title, why am I not defending it or even being shown with it? Well, at least the WWE 2K games aren't the only ones with continuity issues in the career mode. Seriously, don't even try to waste any time or energy trying to figure out the timeline. I don't even think 2K gives enough of a crap about it. There's the exploding barbed wire death match. I love it. There's the aforementioned Casino Battle Royale match. Hang on a second. I wasn't given the code for Matt Hardy's DLC. What's he doing in the match? Come to think of it, his theme song for his broken self is in the game too. Is Matt Hardy as a pre-order bonus on disc DLC? Okay, you know what? I can't exactly confirm that, as truth be told, I don't know the full meaning of that. But the exclusions in some DLC inclusions and even regular inclusions are very odd, so to speak. First off, the big glaring omission of the Dark Order, for the most part. So while it's already odd that the OG members Evil Uno and Stu Grayson aren't in the game nor its DLC, even though their tag team finisher is in it weirdly enough, Alex Reynolds isn't even in the game to complement John Silver as a tag team. On top of that, the friggin' Creepers are in the game. Yeah, remember the Creepers? The masked, nameless henchmen of the Dark Order that apparently only I like and miss seeing on TV? They're in the entrances of Mr. Brody Lee and John Silver respectively. Not to mention Jeff Hardy's in the base game but Matt Hardy's pre-order DLC, Lance Archer is in the game but FTR who made their debut after his are DLC, Riho is in it but the Bunny is DLC, Private Party are excluded, Danhausen debuted in 2022 Hausen and AEW Hausen but is also DLC Hausen, Luchasaurus looks like he did before his heel turn but has his heel theme song, Matt Hardy's other theme song Ghost Town isn't in the game for what I've checked, no Hybrid 2 or even Angelico, no Luther, but Cody Rhodes made it in, albeit with valid reasoning. I remember hearing that the plan is to add more content to the game over time, hence the name Fight Forever, so I'm hoping the exclusions will end up becoming inclusions eventually. Wait, you can have a wrestler face themselves. Oh my god, this is perfection. By God, a paradigm shift on the thumbtacks from Jon Moxley onto Jon Moxley. That is brutal, and I love it, but not in real life. In real life, I get scared for their well-being. Oh, and if you have a wrestler face themselves in a sanctioned match, it counts as a win and a loss for them. That is genuinely perfect and funny.
Oh no!
Oh, and there are barely any load times at all. I don't even get a chance to read the quotes in them. They are that insanely fast. WWE 2K games wish they were this fast. It's like comparing Sonic the Hedgehog to my car trying to move around the ring. Why are you like this? Why are you so slow? But now there's a very crucial test that I want to do, which admittedly was originally going to be part of the recent video I did on WWE 2K My Career stuff, but I felt it wasn't really fully related to the topic at hand, even if it was just more complaining about how WWE 2K games these days are not as good as they used to be, yada yada yada. But the test is, can you do a diving finisher off a ladder, and can you do a diving finisher through a table? In fact, can you do a diving finisher off a ladder through a table regardless? Well, I can confirm I can do a diving finisher through a table, with slightly mixed results, but I imagine that's because it's going through a table. But the same cannot be said with ladders. When practicing in the movesets part of creating a wrestler, I spent a good long while trying to get a ladder from underneath the ring, but they seem to only be limited to ladder matches themselves. So I started a ladder match, and there were no tables I could set up, so I couldn't test it in style. As for a diving finisher off a ladder, I flicked the right stick, but with Jeff Hardy, whose diving finisher is the Swanton Bomb, it only let him do one of his predetermined ladder diving moves, being the diving elbow drop. Oh, and the ladder, for whatever reason, at least from what I could gather, can only be set up in the middle of the ring, nowhere else. This is dumb. This is dumb. This is dumb! Okay, truth be told, I am glad a diving finisher can be done through a table, but not being able to do it off the ladder sucks, and only being able to set it up in one place is very limiting. Speaking of, remember when other previewers and reviewers said the Creation Suite is very limited compared to the WWE Games ones? Well, you know what? I'm gonna try it out, and I'm gonna like it just because you said I wouldn't. Whee! Oh. Okay, so, in conclusion, this is a great game and a great substitute to the WWE games. There are a few faults here and there, but the positives and the fun factor that this game exudes outweigh all the negatives immensely. And save for a few minor glitches, this game is well polished, like a shiny porcelain poodle. So I am definitely looking forward to what this game has to offer in the future. And done. I may have cut some stuff from the video, again, but to be fair, it felt like it was just fluff anyway, so awesome! Now I can just render it, and... What are you... Oh! Oh, I forgot to film something funny for the ending. Discord, do you mind? I'm trying to think of something funny.